welcome to an update on the production of HitCam episode 4, I think it would be. Some kind of thing in the title to maybe clear that up. But yeah, this here is the Clip Studio working file for an animation that is a little more complete than what we're going to be posting in the rest of the episode. As you can see, I started the line cleanup process, and that's pretty much what this is going to be. We're going to go over the basics of taking a piece of story from rough thumbnailing to cleanup. As you can see, we started with a very rough sketch that was basically, it was just that. It was a rough sketch, the same way you rough sketch a background or a character design or anything else. It was a very rough idea. Now, my core concepts I think of when I think of fighting is the positions of power, how that power is traded off, who's aiming to do what's everybody's motivations, and then how am I going to what kind of motions are going to add to this. So how will the camera move, which as you can see with the way that Clip Studio shows its camera, you can actually see the rough guide of the camera. It's going to swoop in and it'll zoom in and out. But we have this overall strong line of action that we have with the main character, with this character is receiving the hit, and the camera. It's all going in this one direction. So it's very cohesive, which really, really helps. And I also have, this guy here, the general pose is that he's approaching it. His pose is that he's coming down with weight. He's coming down and then weight is following him. So even before you see everything else, stuff's hitting the fan. I also have in this very first round of sketch very defined a very defined battle area. Is it clear where they are exactly? Not super well, but we can see a clear distinction of something here. He's standing here and they're clearly moving this way. We have a foreground element and we have our background element. So we have a nice stage in right here where the majority of the action is going to be. And that's what you can kind of tell, why is he jumping from there? Well, clearly he wasn't standing in here. So he had to be up here and he's coming down to meet this character here. And those are the things that, again, the very first sketch got this idea out. And I think as we go through this, you're going to see that the majority of the rest of it continue to follow suit with that. Now, again, you're going to notice this isn't to completion. This is the beginning of cleanup animation is what I would call this. So the next step that we went on was I have one sketch animation folder that has the beats to this animation. And you can see, basically as I'm working this out, beat 1, character 2, again, our starting positions. He's obviously falling down, swing 1, swing 2, and we have that classic anime Looney Tunes. Doesn't really matter if you see what's going on anymore. It's just side-to-side action. And then a nice wind-up as our defensive character kind of catches the axe and blocks it. And you can see that I have the camera zooms out to see the whole picture and then zooms in as we get to this impact here. And that's also where the cut is. So you cut on impact and zoom. Makes that really nice in the editing process. Is something to consider. But this is kind of our first storyboard. So this first drawing here I would call thumbnailing. This drawing here is storyboarding. And I'm trying to keep oh sorry, getting over some cold. I'm trying to keep some basic uh proportions and keep them roughly on model, but I'm still thinking more of just the general poses and energy, which is one thing. You see here that we have a not even a quadruped. He's a six limbed character here. Please keep it simple with bipeds if you're just learning. So after that, we start breaking down to individual characters, and this is where things start to get a lot of fun really fast. If we come here, again, we have so many stages of this. We started with some sketches, which I did the first pass in green, again, very rough. Then I started going over in some more, slightly more defined, trying to get on track. Okay, this is the limb that's in the back, this is the limb that's in the front. And started keeping more model. As we land, we have to start getting into the energetic zones. See, these slower ones, you stay on model a little bit more, and then whoosh. And it's not a great walk cycle, really, because the walking is not the focus of the shot. But all I'm needing is generally having the weight and the lower body line up kind of with the axe strikes until we hit that flurry moment. Give it a minute. You'll see it's roughly one swing, one step, one swing, one step until we have this crazy because he's kind of planted and just it's little things like that where because that's so messy, but that change in how the momentum and the energy is being carried changes the intensity for better or for worse. And as I was working on that, or not as, but I started doing the same process here. You see, again, Clip Studio Paint, I love how I can organize my animation cells with the layers all in one group. And this is kind of how I kick it off. I immediately make sure I have a sketch, a flat shading line all ready to go, so that even if I'm not going to take it all the way to those stages of rendering, I have that option too. But yeah, you can see I chose the brothers to be the leaders of this dance, so to speak. So once you have your attacker or whoever is kind of running the show, you start drawing the character who's reacting. And if I was a little bit more, if I wanted to make this more polished, I would start. I would duplicate Flopsy, or the brothers even, and I would switch who's in front, so that Flopsy can dodge one and be behind them, dodge one, be on the other side. But you may have noticed it's going fast enough that as long as Flopsy is dodging each attack, especially since you have that one blood hit at the end, you're like, okay, he dodged them. And that's all you really need. He's going back. And that's another big thing is that he ducks forward one and he comes right back up. He did not stay down. If he stayed down, your mind would have thought, wait a minute, he's just going to bonk him, elbow him, bring the axe down on his head. You don't stay ducked. So whoosh. See how we follow that nice curve? Because that's what you do if in most of life, curves work. But especially like boxing and fighting stuff, you don't just straight up and down duck. You're always moving in or away from your opponent. And Flopsy is on the defensive, so he is moving back. Everything, and same deal. He's not doing a perfect walk cycle. There's a lot where it's kind of just switching back and forth. Like there's one where, let me find it again. he just literally switches those legs. Because all that we needed was to convey that motion. And then before I actually did these flats on them, I went on ahead and I applied keyframes, which I might not be able to scrub through as efficiently, but it lets me kind of keep the pace moving. I can move Flopsy back a little faster. And we also add these nice little bits of squash and stretch. Yeah, you can see like there's parts with these strikes here. I didn't really have to do a whole lot. There's basically a keyframe here and a keyframe here to keep them moving at a steady pace. But it's not adding those bounces anymore, because if I did a little bit on each of these keyframes, you would start to lose that snap. It would start to feel too floaty, and we definitely don't want it to feel too floaty. The other thing you'll see is, so I added a basic fill on these characters, but even before that, I just threw a little gradient on here, which when that gradient matches with the background stuff and the characters are clearly using the same light source, it brings a scene to life so quickly. So we have the water there and this cool blue coming off to kind of give you like there's an ethereal light source coming from the lake cast onto the characters. It's these little things that, again, even though the background's not all the way filled in, they're not properly shaded. They just have their little black shapes on them to show like some rough cell shading. You so quickly get this tone or this vibe with the characters. And then on top of that, we have our nice foliage here, which, as you can see, is also keyframed. So when you watch the video, the camera is moving from left to right. So the foliage here is moving from right to left, just to, again, keep that depth going so that we have characters impacting with each other's characters moving across the screen, the camera itself moving, and you have this motion and life to the background. If I wanted to be really fancy, I would throw some like fog in there and stuff too. And we also have the blood splat going too. But yeah, that is kind of the very rough beginning to not end, I guess, but the thumbnail to clean. Here's a really fun smear frame I did where there's literally an extra pair of arms, because again, I mean, when you're playing it, I think it just works. I really think it does. So please, if you have questions, feel free to throw it at me. I don't know if I'll be able to answer, or I know I can answer. I don't know if I will be able to answer in ways that y'all want, in ways that are super intelligible. But yeah, the next episode of HitCam will be coming out very soon. We're hoping to get out this weekend. We're trying to extend some of the soundtrack to fill it in well, because one of the things I've loved is Ace's custom music that just fits the story so well. And we want to use those characters' themes, but those characters' themes are really short because the earlier episode's really short. Since we're doing the storyboard thing, the next episode is going to be like 8 minutes without the theme song or the end credits even. So we kind of need things lengthened in that. And that's with cuts too. Like, we are already cutting off the end of the episode and we're still reaching that 8-minute mark. So I hope you guys like what we come up with. I hope that you liked this little behind the scenes look. Again, ask questions. If I didn't explain anything, something the way that you wanted it to be explained, holler at me. I'll try to fix it. But till then, keep drawing, keep doing cool stuff, and yeah, keep an eye out for the next episode of HitCam. Bye.